So ma'am, we are live now.
Okay.
Hello everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on IEEE Student Membership Benefits, organized by IEEE BUET Student Branch. I am Satyaki Bonik, the chair of IEEE BUET Student Branch. This webinar is being organized under the Virtual Speaker Bureau initiative taken by IEEE Student Activity Committee. We are honored to have Dr. Elisa Barney Smith, chair of IEEE Student Activity Committee, among us as the speaker of today's webinar. Welcome, ma'am. We are so glad to have you.
Okay. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, ma'am. Before you start, this is a message to all the participants attending the webinar. If you have any question, please write them in the chat box, or if you're watching it live from Facebook, you can comment, write your questions in the comment section. All these questions will be answered during a Q&A session at the end. Okay, and now, with your permission, ma'am, I would like to read a short bio of you to introduce you to the participants. Thank you, ma'am. Sanjana, can you please change the slide? Dr. Elisa Barney Smith is a professor at Boise State University in Idaho, USA. She is the 2019 and 2020 chair of IEEE Student Activity Committee. She loves to interact with students and is thrilled to be able to offer new programs and to expand other programs to continually improve the student member experience. Dr. Barney joined the faculty at Boise State University in September 1999. Her research focuses on image processing and machine learning. She has been a visiting professor at University of the Saarland, LORIA in France, and Telecom ParisTech in France. She is a member of IEEE and SPIE, that is the Society of Photo-optical Instrumentation Engineers, and she was the chair of the IEEE Boise section from 2000 to 2003, and the chair of Region 6 Northeast area from 2009 to 2013. So the floor is yours, ma'am. You can start.
Okay. So if you'll stop sharing, I will share my screen.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I was elected as the chair of the student activities almost 2 years ago, and started in January 2019. And since then, I've learned a lot about student programs and have trying to build up some other stuff. Our whole goal with student activities is to create programs that strengthen our student branches because we value our student members. So kind of looking at who are our student members. Well, you're a whole bunch of different people, and the big things that you are international. Nowadays, our student members are digital natives. Computers were still a new thing when I was young, but for you, computers are something that's always been around you. We know our students are very ambitious, and definitely the students here, I can see with you having had a webinar last week and this one and all the stuff you're doing, you're definitely very interested in enhancing your image and your global network. You work really hard. And we also see that today's students like to connect with their peers and give back to the community. So that's who we are thinking about as we move forward. So I'm going to start a question, and my wonderful hosts here have set up a poll for within Zoom. So this is a question to the audience. How many student members are there in the world?
So the poll is now live. Anyone can answer. Ma'am, can you see the results?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So
they're still changing.
Yeah, they're still
people
changing.
Are voting.
Yeah.
I think that I think this is only for people who've joined in Zoom, so I think got all the Zoom people have already replied.
Okay, let me check, ma'am, if in live they have also replied. Okay,
Yeah.
I have in comments, the people are saying C, 50,000 to 100,000.
Okay. So we'll end the polling. So that in Zoom, the polls say, the majority say the more than 100,000. And indeed, if we look at our students, we got students around all the different regions. Here's some pictures of our wonderful students from around the different regions. That's a Region 10 picture I've got. And indeed, we do have more than 100,000, so D is the correct answer. We actually have over 120,000 students, 2/3 of which are undergraduate members and 1/3 of which are graduate student members. And our number of graduate student members is growing faster than our number of undergraduate members. Students form 1/4 of overall IEEE membership. So you're really a large part of IEEE. We really value you, and that's why we have a whole committee devoted just to you. Our student members are in over 100 different countries at over 3,200 different institutions. So we've got a lot of students to keep track of, and we're trying to produce programs for all of you. And we're really hoping that our student members, after you graduate, will become a higher grade member. And your first stop along that line is as members of the young professionals. So keep that in mind. I'll touch on that a little bit later. I said IEEE is a worldwide organization, and you can think about the different regions. We're broken into 10 regions. You know that you're Region 10. Regions 1 through 6 are in the United States, starting from the East Coast and moving to the West Coast. I live here in Region 6 in Idaho. Region 7 is Canada, so continuing on our little spiral trajectory. Region 8 is a good part of the world. It's all of Europe, all of Africa, Russia, and certain parts of the Middle East and Asia. And then Region 10, where you are, is Asia and Australia. And we have this spiral, which is a good way of remembering where all the different regions are. And for that, we need to really think about Region 10 being over there. If you think about it on a globe, it works a lot better. Nice little spiral is a good way to remember the regions. So some questions from the students is, do you know how to ensure your membership profile is up to date? We really want you to keep this up to date. Students move around more frequently than professionals, and make sure you log into your IEEE account, IEEE.org, log in there and make sure you keep your information up to date. And if you need to locate your IEEE member number, a good way to do that is through Collaboratech. You can get it through your IEEE account, and you can get a membership certificate that you can print out if you want to through Collaboratech, which is a social networking, professional networking system, which we have developed through IEEE. And the nice thing with that is that your information is private to IEEE. We did a survey of students in 2016 to find out, what do student members want? This was done to try and help guide us. And as we found, is that student members wanted to remain technically current. You wanted educational resources and programs to keep you up to date, in addition to what your professors can provide you. And to do this, IEEE provides you the Potentials magazine. It's a publication especially for students, and it comes with your membership, free with your membership. We give you the ability to compete in a variety of contests, and you talked about having a webinar a week ago about your wonderful winning teams for the IEEE Extreme contest. And IEEE also provides the IEEE Learning Network, and I'll talk a little bit more about all these things later in this webinar. We also saw through the survey that students really want to expand your network beyond your school. And to do that, we're providing you resources such as the Virtual Speakers Bureau, which is what we are in now, as also the ParisTech I mentioned before. It's a social networking platform. But also keep in mind that you have your section. And within your section, you can reach out and contact professional members, interact with them, and I should have that. Students are represented by the Student Activities Committee, of which I'm the chair. And our goal is to develop and deliver a high quality student membership experience globally. And we're at the beginning of what we hope is your lifelong professional success. That this is not just a short-term 4-year experience. We're hoping that you'll stay as members and that IEEE can continue to be there for you. And that this is the beginning and we can give you a strong foundation. So we offer a number of programs through student activities. We have the Potentials magazine, which I mentioned. I'll talk more about each of these later. We offer contests, including the Extreme contest. IEEE offers some scholarships, not nearly enough given that we have 120,000 student members, but we still offer some. We offer some awards, again, not nearly enough given how many students there are, but we still like to recognize the wonderful student members which we have. Offer you professional development activities, such as the SPIE program, and we'll talk about this, and networking opportunities, including our virtual speakers program, which was just launched in May, and which you're taking advantage of, through which you invited me to talk to you today. I'm very honored to have been invited. So talking about these programs, if you go to the students' website, students@IEEE.org, in there's a whole bunch of opportunities. There's a Potentials magazine I talked about. You can get a link to that. We have a whole bunch of opportunities for students you can all reach out to. And we have a webinar, which is advertised here. And this is the webinar we had in June. We've got a new one coming up in July. And I'll talk more about these later. So the first real biggest thing, the most tangible thing that most students come in contact with from IEEE, regardless of how active they are, is the IEEE Potentials magazine. In the United States and Canada, you get a physical paper copy of this. In the rest of the world, you get an electronic copy of this. In this magazine, we actually had our face-to-face meeting yesterday and this morning. So I was up at 6 this morning to spend 2 hours discussing things with them. And we talk about a number of different current technical things that are going on in the electrical engineering computer science field and bring you articles to this. Now, did you know that most of these articles are written by students, and you should pay attention to the call for papers on the Potentials website if you want to contribute to an issue. Most of the issues have themes. So if you're doing research in smart consumer electronic systems, you could have proposed an article that would have gone into that particular issue. So go and visit their website frequently, see the list of upcoming issues. And if you're doing some work in one of those fields, you're welcome to propose an article for that issue, which will then be peer reviewed like other ones. IEEE offers many different contests. Some of them are local contests, some are regional contests, some of them are global contests. Micromouse is one which is fun, and students at my student branch used to participate in that. There's a web page contest, photo contests, hackathons, and of course, Extreme. You said you had a really detailed webinar about this last week, but for the students who didn't attend this, this is a nice 24-hour programming contest where you form teams of up to 3 members, and all those have to be student members, and you work together to do a series of different challenges of programming challenges where they put forward a question and you have to come up with a programming algorithm and code that's able to solve this. And you can do this in almost any programming language you want, and you submit it through the internet, and you get points for how many you submit and how well they solve the problem. So the second poll question, and I believe that my hosts have set this up also to send out to our participants. How many students participated in Extreme last year?
Okay, so the poll is now live. We can see the answers are coming.
Mm-hmm. I can see the Zoom ones, and you've got the Facebook ones.
Yeah.
Here, so far, the Zoom ones are kind of evenly split between C and D. What's the results in the Facebook poll?
Ma'am, in the Facebook comment section, people are saying C and D also. Kindly evenly spread. Yeah. So, yeah.
So, whoops. The answer is actually C this time. So it's good that people are ambitious, and I'm hoping that you will work to form more teams, so we get more students into that. Maybe next year the answer can be D. So we're not quite to 10,000 yet. We're really pretty close last year, 9,400, a little bit over 9,400, but we didn't quite break that boundary to get over to 10,000. So I hope that you'll encourage more students to participate. And the fact that you took the initiative and hosted the webinar last week, and you've had a couple of winning teams from your university, maybe that'll get you a few more students participating. But those students were in over 4,000 teams, so you see what our committee for this has to go through in order to get this contest going. We've got to coordinate almost 10,000 students and 4,000 teams. They come from almost 700 different universities around the world, 75 different countries. The Extreme team has a Facebook site. You can follow that to keep up with information. In order to run this, we need proctors. So when you graduate, you can become a proctor, and we encourage you to do that. And again, there's lots of ways to get involved with this in addition to just being a student competing, because we also need public relations volunteers, and you can volunteer to do that. There's opportunities for that. They kind of look through and pick people from those who volunteer, because they also need to be able to manage their volunteers. So there's opportunities to both participate, and after you graduate, you can come back and help the contest as a volunteer, as a proctor, or as a public relations volunteer. And you can be a public relations volunteer either officially or unofficially, because you can just go around your local section, your local region, and help to advertise it there, even if you're not officially associated with this. And the good news is that this contest will still take place this year. October 24th is the date. It's still planned, even though we're expecting a lot of places in the world are not going to be meeting in person, that they're going to be setting things up so you can still take place virtually, and the proctoring will be taking place virtually with you. You'll have your proctor discussing with you by email and communicating with you that way. So you can still put this on your calendar, you can still plan on it, even though a lot of universities are going to be doing remote instruction in the fall. The contest will take place. There's a few other places you can compete for recognition and prizes. You can work to get other members involved with IEEE. You get a little bit of a bonus that you can use towards your membership dues in the following years if you get other students to join. Sometimes we have photo contests, so keep an eye out for that. Some of them are associated with IEEE Day, so we encourage you to get involved with IEEE Day, which is in October every year, and they're gearing up for 2020. This is our logo for 2020. So there's lots of other places you can do competitions, and we're trying to get a list of contests up on the student webpage. So if you know anybody who's running a contest for IEEE students, make sure you go there and that they submit that to our list. And that list will be live very soon. We like to recognize our students. We've got a number of different awards. Here are 5 of the biggest groups of awards that we've got. These are global awards. Some of them, we give one per region for the outstanding student branch, outstanding student for activities, and I believe this one comes with free membership for the first 3 years after graduation. And we've got some website contests, and so there's also some regional awards. So look for Region 10, what awards are available there. There's lots of opportunities there for students. I mentioned scholarships. Here's a few that I was able to find, and we're trying to keep track of them. IEEE is so large with so many different organizations, it's sometimes hard to keep track of. But here are some of the scholarships. You said you've got a Power and Energy Society student branch chapter at your university. So I'm sure that you are aware of this scholarship, and hopefully you've had applicants to that. I know my university that we usually get students who are winning this scholarship. The Computer Society, you also said that you had a student branch chapter for Computer Society, and they also offer some nice scholarships there. And you said you had a WE affinity group, and one of your WE leaders is here on the webinar, and they also offer a nice scholarship. So pay attention to IEEE for scholarships. Again, the number of scholarships relative to the number of students worldwide is not really proportional, but they're out there, and look for them. We're trying to do what we can. IEEE provides educational resources. Now you've got your professors educating you, but there's only so much that they can do. You need to take control of your education. We can't do it all for you. We can provide you with information. It's up to you to take it and absorb it. So IEEE offers several different things towards that goal. Some of them, like Tri-Nano, are educational resources much more for the elementary and pre-university students. So is Tri-Computing. The Explore Digital Library contains over 1 million different articles from different journals and conferences that have been held in IEEE over the years. And one of the newest additions to our collection is the IEEE e-learning library called the ILN. And this is a really super thing. I think is one of the best things that IEEE has come up with in years. The ILN has resources of miniature courses. Some of them are just 1-hour webinars. Some of them are week-long courses. Some of them are credit-bearing, which will work towards professional licensure. Some of them are free. Some you have to pay for. Some you get a discount as an IEEE member or as a society member. They vary in size and content. So I encourage you to look there. It's a way that you can add extra information. Also, if you're working on a course and you've got a project that you're working on, you need some more information, some of these different resources from the ILN might be able to provide you with some information to help you with some of your course projects. These would be more applicable to things like your senior thesis, as well as helping you with some of your graduate work. So take a look there. I really encourage you to check this out. I think this is one of the best things that IEEE has done. This is run by the educational board within IEEE, but it's using the resources made by the different societies, like the Computer Society, the Power Energy Society, the Robotics Society, the EMBS Society. So this is just a way of bringing them all together in one place so you can find them. Professional activities, this is run by the Student Activities Committee. We've had this program for years. We kind of revamped it this year as some of the structure within the United States has changed for IEEE, so it's now all run together. And this is targeting when a student branch wants to have more than a single isolated webinar. If you want to put together and run a half-day miniature conference or 3-day student conference, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or something over a break, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you want to put it together, we've got professionals on our committee there to help you structure this, help you connect with speakers. This is a way which will let you request more than one speaker from the Virtual Speakers Bureau, but you got to go through the SPIE program to request that. And the process of putting together one of these events is a good learning thing. And I hope that as all of you graduate and you're writing your resumes, you don't just say, I was an IEEE member, but you say, what did you do as an IEEE member? Because that's really what companies are looking for when they're trying to hire you. They don't just want to see that you paid dues and were a member. They want to see, what did you get from that? What did you put into it? Because students who put in more are likely to put in more when they become employees. And if as a group of leaders you organize one of these events and you put in that you helped to run such a big event, then that really shows employers that you're able to manage people, you're able to manage money, you're able to manage time. And those are things that employers really like to see. So again, we've got this SPIE program under student activities, and you can connect up with them. Virtual Speakers Bureau, through which you invited me to talk to you today, is a way of inviting leaders from around IEEE as well as people outside of IEEE in to talk to your student branch. And we've got a whole bunch of different topics, and we're able to connect you with those speakers as part of the IEEE network. Again, through our website under opportunities is where you get into the virtual speakers. And this is a brand new initiative, only started in May. It's one of the things which is part of my legacy as chair of student activities is to create this. When you go in there, the student branch is part of where you want to go. And your leaders who brought this webinar to you already knew how to do this. But for those of you from neighboring student branches, this is where you would go to find it. And on there, there's a green button down at the bottom, browse and search virtual speakers. And make sure you look for that button. Don't just go to questions, find that button. And with there, you'll see the list of speakers and their topics. On this web page, we give you instructions about how you go about planning such a virtual speakers event. And for our hosts, make sure you remember to fill out the form and give our feedback at the end. Here's a list of some of the technical topics that are available. The list is much longer than this. The list is really growing pretty fast. And these are just some of the topics you can get a speaker on. And they're both technical topics as well as professional topics. This particular is to you and your student members. We also have SAC Webinars, and your hosts here attended the webinar, which I presented in May. We're trying to do them once a month, looking at topics of interest to student members. The next one is going to be July 27 at noon Eastern, so that's midnight for you guys. Nope, that's going to be 10 p.m. for you guys. And we've got Dr. Ramesh from California. He's the dean at UC Riverside, and he's going to be talking about how you can find success in a brave new world. Starting in March, when the COVID came around, things all around the world really changed quite a bit. And he's going to talk about some techniques that you can use now that things are a little bit different because COVID has stopped certain interactions between people, and techniques that you can do to still be very successful professionally. In August, is going to be a back to school. A lot of universities start in August or September. We recognize that around the world the schedules change and are not all the same, but the theme is back to school. What can student branches do to get up and get going for the new academic year relative to student branch activities? In September will be a webinar from the extreme organizers. You had your webinar from some of your extreme winners. This will be from the people organizing the contest, giving you more details about the contest and how to get registered for it. In October, the webinar I believe we've scheduled to talk about humanitarian programs that IEEE runs that you can get involved with as a student branch. And in November, the webinar is going to be talking about your annual reporting and answering frequently asked questions about how do you do that, which is really important for branch leaders. You want to know what other resources are out there for student members? Well, you can join other different groups. Apparently your university already is very familiar with WE because you have a WE affinity group within your student branch. We've got a couple of different humanitarian groups within IEEE that you can join. And again, you'll learn more about these in the webinar in October, or November rather. And then there's certain universities have an Eta Kappa Nu Honor Society, and I don't know whether your university has started one yet. You can look into that if you've not. I mentioned young professionals. We're hoping that all of you, after you graduate, will remain IEEE members for the rest of your life. I've been a member for close to 30 years now. I joined when I was a doctoral student. And I've been very involved and it's served me very well. I've met a lot of great people. And your first step when you graduate is a group called the Young Professionals. And this is because the things that are of interest to professionals when they've just graduated college are not the same things that are of interest to old people like me. So this group was created to really focus on the things that younger, newer members might be interested in. And this is usually an affinity group within your section, and they put on different events really focusing at stuff that the younger people, the newer professionals, would have an interest in to help their career at the early stage of your career. So I hope you're looking forward to joining Young Professionals. If you're a graduate student, then you're automatically a member of Young Professionals as a graduate student. So you get to have two different membership categories, both student member and young professional. There's other ways for students to connect with IEEE. I mentioned the CollaboraTech, which is a social networking community, and I hope that all of you have gotten a presence there. There's lots of different videos on IEEE TV. This is kind of a YouTube type of channel, but with different products out of IEEE. Our webinars are student webinars are being run through IEEE TV. IEEE Students has a Facebook presence, and I think that a lot of you are joined and connected to that. We try to disseminate information there. And IEEE also has a Instagram presence. And within CollaboraTech, if you're an IEEE member and you log in as a member to CollaboraTech, you don't need to be a member of IEEE to join CollaboraTech. But if you are an IEEE member and you join CollaboraTech, you can then access membership rosters of the different people in IEEE. Beyond the student branch, I have already talked about CollaboraTech. It's a great networking opportunity. And there's communities within CollaboraTech for different societies and other different topics of interest that may not be just a society, but might be either multiple societies or a subset of a society. Like there's an artificial intelligence community in there that talks about different AI topics of interest. So go there and look around and see what's there that might be of interest. Outside of your student branch, I hope that you have connection to your local IEEE section. The world is broken up into regions, and the regions are broken up into sections. And each section, in theory, has a section student representative. That's a student member who's on the executive board of the section representing student interests, as well as a section student activity chair. This is kind of a miniature version of me looking to reach out to the student branches. This is usually a professional, often a professor, whose goal it is to make sure that the students are connected to the student branches. The student branches are connected to the sections. So we've got these two different positions. Make sure you know who they are for your section. Every student member, particularly the leader, should know who they are and make sure that you have contact and communication with them. Why? Because we've got only 300 sections, which is still a lot, 10 regions down to 300 sections, then the 2,000 student branches and our 120,000 different student members. So connecting to your sections is a way to connect with IEEE in a little bit smaller group. And it's the part where you get the information passed down from the IEEE headquarters. And your sections should be running activities that you can attend as students. Some of them do not remember to invite students, but students are members and are members of the sections. So if your section is having an event, you as student members have the right and the ability to attend. So take advantage of that. It's a great way for you to be able to meet up with professional members locally. I also encourage all of you to become volunteers within your student branch, to not just be a member, not just pay your dues, not just attend, but to be a volunteer and help to run things like running this particular webinar. And it's a great way to meet people and bring them all together. And the leaders, as a leader of the students, you're learning how to put more stuff on your resume because you're learning how to do things. And again, don't just say that you were chair of the student branch on your resume, say what you did as student branch when you have your resume. If you're a student leader, one of the officers, you have access to what we call OU analytics. OU is operating unit, and your operating unit is a student branch. And if you go to OU analytics, there's a button for students, and from there you can get all the statistics about your student branch. So I hope your student leaders are keeping an eye on this. Also for student leaders, we have the Center for Leadership Excellence. And on that web page, there's a button there for volunteers. And in that volunteers, you can see what as a particular role is involved, what's expected. And this is a good place for you to visit if you're thinking about running for a leadership position. So if you are interested in becoming student branch chair and you don't hold that role yet and you're going to put your name in for an election, stop at the Center for Leadership Excellence first and see, well, what's involved with being chair? So you can then run actually knowing what you're going to do. And under that option, you can see the list of all the student branch positions. And for each one, if you click on each of these different categories, and the first 4 are for students, and then the other 2 are for the professionals who help out with what you're doing, your counselor. And you've got chapter chairs, because you've got, you've got several different society chapters. So you should be visiting these things and seeing what's involved with each of these positions. So we've got the branch leadership has the basic 4 positions we call chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. But you have the opportunity to have more positions than this. So I'm now inviting all of you to, through the chat, tell us what other positions does your student branch have? Do you have a social media chair? What other positions do you have beyond the basic 4? Type it into the chat window. And our host will read off some of the things that he's seeing.
Yeah, ma'am. Mahafuzul Kobir, he says social media coordinator, newsletter, membership development coordinator. There are some, these are some positions in their executive committee. Any more executive committee positions? Yeah, from IEEE BRAC University student branch, they have said they have webmaster, publicity coordinator, newsletter editor, and designer in their XCOM position.
So I really want everybody to think beyond the basic 4. And so you heard a few other ones. Speakers chair, something which my student branch also has, who's in charge of bringing speakers to talk to the student branches regularly. Tours chair, the student branch likes to go visit different companies and see them in person and talk to the people who work there. Workshops chair, they bring together workshops to teach people how to solder, how to run an oscilloscope, how to use MATLAB, how to put a dual boot system onto your laptop. And so they hold a number of different workshops. So there's a lot of different things you can do beyond the basic 4. Something else which we do at my university to get, because the more people who are involved, the better it is, the stronger your student branch will be. We also have a graduate student rep, a freshman rep, first year rep, second year rep. So we make sure we get younger people involved as well. So I really encourage you to think beyond the basic four, and the bigger you can build your leadership team, the stronger your student branch will be. So really think about that. They're not required that you do anything more than that, but I encourage you to expand. I want to remind your student branch leaders that you have to do an annual reporting listing who your officers are. And these are all done through the V-Tools. Include your annual plan. What are you going to be submitting? What are you hoping to do in the coming year? This is not a contract that you're going to be kicked out if you don't do them, but it makes you think ahead a little bit more. And as you have an event like this meeting and like the webinar you had last week, include them in V-Tools. And the nice thing with V-Tools is you can add the events in there prior to the event happening. And then people can search and find your events there before they happen. And maybe people will come to your event who didn't see them before. You can connect up an RSS feed into your student website or into your section website listing all those events. And also these things will then show up on the global IEEE students website, I believe. So if you enter your events prior to them happening in V-Tools, then you can also get those advertised around IEEE world. When you do your reporting, it proves that your branch is alive, which is good. I think your branch is quite alive. That's really great to see. It also lets your local volunteer leaders, your sections, see how active your student branch is. And it keeps the database and a record for historical purposes, that your student branch will not be forgotten, and we can see historically how active your student branch is. So we really encourage you to report activities. The annual plan reporting is from November to February. And if you get it done in this window, student branches get a monetary bonus for this. And this is given to your section, and then that section is to give it to you. So you again need to have the communication with your section to get that reimbursement. And then I briefly wanted to touch on the fact that while COVID has made a lot of universities shut down face-to-face, a lot of places are quarantined, you're not allowed out onto the streets, that does not mean your student branch has to stop doing things. I think this is a little bit of stuff that's obvious to you because you're already doing this webinar and you have a webinar series going, which is great. So you can have a webinar series, virtual speakers, and you already know that. But putting things to you, you can also do tours remotely. Invite somebody who works for a company to take their cell phone and walk around their business, and you can interview different people through your cell phone there if the businesses are opening. You don't need to physically go there, but if the business is open, you can have somebody who works there who's going to be allowed in, still do a tour for you and broadcast that as a webinar to your student members. Reach out to your young professionals group, see what they're doing. You can engage them in discussions about what life is like after graduation. Even though you can't go off and do something physically with them, you can still talk with them. There's still opportunities well distributed to do primary and secondary school pre-university STEM outreach activities. And IEEE has a lot of resources for that, the tryengineering.org. And there's a lot of different opportunities available for that. And in addition to that, the educational activities organization within IEEE is building up some more STEM outreach materials, which is available to you. And particularly relevant to your group is that they're looking for student volunteers to translate this material into languages other than English. While Google can do a relatively good translation to many different languages, it really, to get a very good translation, good for pre-university, really takes domain knowledge. So they're looking for students to get involved and possibly volunteer their time to help translate some of them. And a lot of these outreach activities you can do via video to local children in your area. So think about giving back to society and doing some of this, as well as helping the Educational Activities Board to translate some of that material. I talked about the ILN courses. Your members can just take them individually, or you can do it as a group, a student branch activity, saying, okay, let's everybody take this particular course, and then we'll get together and have a discussion over Zoom or over Facebook to discuss what we learned in there. So you can have a little colloquium to discuss what you got out of a course if you coordinate a bunch of students taking the course relatively at the same time. You can use Facebook or Zoom to do public speaking practice. I don't know if you're familiar with the Toastmasters, which is in the United States, but it's an opportunity for you to get up and practice doing public speaking. So you can take turns and form a small group that's going to take turns giving talks to each other and practicing your public speaking. It's something which is very good for your resume to say you know how to do. It'll benefit you through your career to be able to talk in public to other people. And of course, while you're distributed, you can prepare for the IEEE Extreme contest in October. There's a bunch of sample challenge questions and past questions from previous years, and you can get together and take some of these challenges as your teams are forming and prepare doing them. An e-notice was sent in theory to all student members, not just leaders, on July 14th. So check your email. If you've thrown it away, go back and retrieve it. It's not that long ago. It should still be in your trash can. And find that. It gives a lot more details about ideas for these. These are things I put together, and I hope that you'll find them helpful as ways of staying engaged and active while distributed. I also want to let you know that there's going to be a campaign coming out soon. This is material that you're the only students who know about it right now. Where we're going to be going through and asking you to share with us and let us know how you're doing and what you're doing during this time of doing everything remotely and virtually. And so we're going to be asking student branches to submit videos or photographs of things your student branch is doing now or things you have done in the past. Excuse me. And we've got a little platform set up where you can submit them, and we're going to be putting together some videos to share, putting them as collages and having pictures which we can use to show our student branches in action rather than using canned photographs, and have a nice little video that we can put together collaging a lot of the stories from different student branches. So this call for this you'll be receiving soon, probably in 2 to 3 weeks. I encourage you to look for it. You can start putting videos together now, photos together now, and tell us your story. Tell us what you're doing. Be represented. Tell other student branches. This will be made available. The output will be made available to all our student members. I also want to make sure you know that we're out there for you. We've got our student webpage, which I've shown you some clips from. And if you need any specific help for your student branch, student services at IEEE.org will get you to our staff members who are actually employed 40 hours a week to specifically help student branches. So if you have troubles with reporting, if you have troubles getting membership numbers, if there's some specific information you need that you can't get, they're there to answer your questions, and their response is really pretty prompt, and they have a lot of good information for you. So these are some resources for your student leaders. And with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful presentation. We have some questions coming in the chat box in the live section. So I'll read them one by one. So,
okay.
Ma'am, the first question came as from Uddipon Shaha. He's asked, please tell us the process of getting IEEE membership, madam.
Okay, for that you go to IEEE.org/join, J-O-I-N. And right there is a web form to fill out to join. IEEE.org/join.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Then the next is Marshall Asif. He asked, How can a student from chemical engineering or biomedical engineering or naval engineering or water resource engineering will be benefited from IEEE membership? He asked this question because these departments are we have in BUET in our university.
Well, we've got 39 different society chapters, and engineering is no longer monolithic. It's no longer that you're an electrical engineer and you never talk to anybody in any other fields. So look at those different society chapters and see what's out there which has an overlap. I do a lot of my research with people from other departments. I work with mechanical engineers, I work with materials engineers, I work with even literature professors and historians. So there's a lot of ways which electrical engineering, computer science overlap. And through a lot of our society chapters, that's there. Also, if you're a student in another student branch, you certainly gain by joining and working on leadership with running the student branch. That benefit is there for you regardless of what your major is. We had the treasurer of our student branch in Boise was a business major a few years ago. And so you might say, well, business, you know, that's not electrical engineering, but she was interested in engineering as a business and working at a company eventually that would be an engineering type firm. And she thought that joining IEEE and getting involved as a leader of IEEE would help her in her future career in the field of business.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, for your answer. Okay, ma'am, the next question is from Shudipta Pramanik. He says, the most IEEE competitions seem to be a bit difficult for beginners. What are the tricks to get accustomed to these, or what competitions are beginner friendly? What IEEE competitions are beginner friendly?
Well, a lot of it there is that you need to not worry about winning. If your goal is to win, then you might as well not play unless you're from your university where you've got the two winning teams, because only one team out of everybody participating is going to win. A good part of it is just simply the opportunity to participate, which is equally useful to you to say you did participate and what you personally benefit from having participated. So maybe the first year that you join a team, your team doesn't win or doesn't place really high. But as a beginner, you can still join and you can learn something from the process and gain from there. And as a student branch, you can work to put together teams that might have 2 advanced players and 1 novice player for such as IEEE Extreme to help bring new people in. So that's something that you might consider as a student branch doing, is looking to find a way to structure teams and helping pair up new people with some more advanced, experienced members.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope that answers his question. And the next question is from India, actually, Dr. Sudhir Kumar. He's from Vizag Bay section, India. He asked how the students can volunteer in various committees of IEEE. Please brief the nomination process.
Okay, a lot of it is just getting your name out there. There's places where you can become the section student rep I showed you. And from being section student rep, you can then become your regional student rep, and that gets you onto a global committee. Students can join into several different committees related to the, you can write articles for the Potentials magazine. We've got openings for you to be involved with IEEE Extreme. There's lots of places for you to be involved with doing publicity for several different things. Pay attention to the things in the student Facebook page and just get your name out there, write to people and get involved with things that are going on. If there's a section event going on, attend it. And don't be just hiding in the shadows. Reach out and introduce yourself to the professionals who are there. we really truly do encourage students to get involved. I tried during this presentation to mention places you could get involved. So definitely reach out to these opportunities and say you want to get involved. But definitely getting involved with your local student branch first is the first place to start. And then once you graduate, get involved with your young professionals affinity group in your section. And there's lots of places to get involved. In most committees have positions that are not officially nominated positions, but we're looking for somebody to help add material to our student Facebook page. Post frequently, your name will get noticed. We're looking for people to add discussion to the Collaboratech Global Student Exchange. Well, if you are actually involved, there's things you can do. You can be a Collaboratech ambassador, you can be a IEEE Extreme ambassador, and you can even be them unofficially just by being active and involved. So look for the things that are out there, participate, and as you participate, you'll see places where you can be officially recognized for your participation.
Well, thank you, ma'am. You mentioned the volunteering opportunities in IEEE Extreme. We have our own IEEE Extreme ambassador this year, Nusrat Subha Sakhawat, and she's here present in the webinar too. Great. So, ma'am, there is another question. The final question is, can you please briefly explain some advanced features of IEEE Resume Lab?
That I cannot do. I'm sorry about that. That might be better for you to send an email to student services for. I don't actually go in and use the Resume Lab because I don't need mine there, so I've never actually dug into that really deeply. So that question might be better for you to pose to student services.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, we have a question from the chair of IEEE BRAC University Student Branch from Bangladesh section. He asks, what are the steps to organize a SPAX program in a student branch?
You put together a little bit of a committee within your student branch, decide a little bit about what you're interested in. Then you go to the web page that I showed. Find it. So rather than virtual speakers, there is professional awareness. Go here to this part of the web page for professional awareness. And on there, you can connect with them and reach out to them. Every region has a region coordinator for professional awareness. And then we have a committee there, and they're there to help you put together an event. So I encourage you to go look at that website. There should be a form there. I haven't looked recently, but they were putting stuff together, and you can there contact them. The chair of that committee is Adil Usman, and he's from India. Really great guy, and he's got a great team. And like I said, Region 10 also has a regional coordinator for student professional activities. So go to that website and look there.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Regarding SPAX activities from IEEE BUET student branch, we are also submitting proposal for organizing a SPA event, SPAW event in October 2020. So we are really looking forward to it. And ma'am, yeah, and ma'am, just to let you know, IEEE BUET student branch had previously won a couple of international awards by IEEE. We have won IEEE Regional Exemplary Student Branch Award in 2019. And the Darrell Chung Student Activity Award in 2018 for our outreach activity. So we are starting to, we're working hard to gain international recognition for our student branch.
I think you're doing a good job of it.
Thank you, ma'am. So there are no more questions here, ma'am. I'll check the live feed. No, there isn't. So if there is no more questions, we can perhaps end it.
Again, I want to thank you for inviting me here. Your university student branch is definitely getting a reputation for being very active. And I look forward to meeting some of you as you become professional members and get involved with IEEE in other events.